that's okay. Now we're going to talk a little bit more about failing by design. Okay. These here are more just facts and stuff that are really, because we don't have nothing to go too deep. Failure, failures are more common than successes. Can I get an amen? Amen. I think everybody would agree with that. The failures are more common by successes. And most people are biased against failure and make no effort to study it. This is where I think this is good. Because right now we know that failures are greater than successes, and now we're studying why failures are greater than successes. I think failures are more fun than successes anyway. I think they offer so much more than a success. An easy success is kind of boring, you know? It's just like, you know, even when kids know this more than anybody else, they don't want to play the baseball game against a team that they can beat 20-0. You know, it's boring. They like the challenge of the opportunity to lose. The failure is present in the face. You got to put everything you got into it to win the game, you know? So this is why, but most people fail, and most people they are biased against failure. They don't want to fail, but that's grown-ups, and I'm never grown up. So failure is inevitable, and if approached and managed well, it can be very useful. Like I said, failure is definitely inevitable. I remember going through some trainings in the military. They're designed to fail, you know? And I remember, getting yelled at and everything. And most of the time I was getting yelled at so that I get more and more stressed, they thought, so that I would fail. And then they would be able to teach. That's what that's the military understanding. Put all this stress on them, make them hungry, make them dirty and uncomfortable, and then when they break, you'll be able to teach them. I don't know why they think that works, but I thought it was funny. These guys was just making me laugh, but they make me laugh now. But I did learn later on when I became a sergeant and we had those inspector general things, I learned they're looking for a failure, so give it to them up front. Hey, get them out the way. Look at the top part of this, right? That's where I put the failure. Oh, see this? You can improve on this here if I do. Oh, thank you, sir. Get your foolish self out of here. I got sleeping to do. So, that's failure. You can have fun with it. At least I have fun with it. I still have fun with it. So, but it's inevitable. It's inevitable. And if it's approached and managed well, it can be useful. And in that regard, you can learn from your failures, not just the foolishness that I was talking about, but you can actually learn from your failures. You witness what you've done wrong. And that's the key word to it. You witnessed what you've done wrong. You didn't see what you've done wrong. I see what I've done wrong. No, you have witnessed. I have recognized. Not just I see, I recognize and I witness what I have done wrong, or how this has done wrong. And that is much more powerful than, I see, because then, I see something else. No, you have witnessed. And that by witnessing, you take and you think about it. So how failure can be useful? It keeps your options open. Why I say that? Let's see why they say that first. As the range of possible outcomes for a course of action expands, the chances of the action succeeding diminishes. You improve your odds if you make more tries. Well, that kind of goes without saying. If you can get down to the last spot, you improve. Before that, it gets a little over the top there. But if you engage with more opportunities, that's because you're failing. You know, back to the work, I'm gonna do this. Back to the work, I'm gonna do this. I think that they're really talking about what oh, it just ran right out of my head. Was it Subways? I think it was not was it's either Subways or Starbucks. One of those two big conglomerates like that. They opened up, a college kid opened them up. I think it was, I forget which one. But anyway, I'll call it Subway. They opened up the Subways on corner A. And it started and it failed. So what did he do? He opened up a Subway on corner B. He already got one failure, now he opened up, it failed. And then that didn't deter him. Ah, man, let's see what else I can do. He opened up another Subways on another corner. He opened up 5 Subways until it started to become such a commonplace thing that it had no opportunity to fail anymore. The opportunity to fail was gone. The exposure of Subways was there. People just, all they had to do now was create the habit of liking the food. Yeah? So that's kind of what, you improve your odds if you make more tries. So, you know, that's kind of how that I believe works like that, yeah. So let's get a little bit more. Learn what doesn't work. Yeah? That's important. You have to learn what doesn't work. You can only learn what doesn't work by taking chances and risks to see if it's going to work. You got the idea, and everybody's ideas are beautiful. They're great. People have massive ideas. The creativity within the human mind, within the human species is just amazing to me. We have such great ideas, but we're gutless. We don't want to try them because we're so afraid that if we try this and fail, we'll look stupid and somebody's going to say something about us. And that's just defeatism. Like that word? It's hard for me to say. So learn what doesn't work. So you know that what doesn't work is doing nothing. You got a great idea, and if you do nothing about it, it doesn't work. That's the start. So now you take your great idea, and now you see what doesn't work. Does it work to just go out with your great idea and gather a lot of data and a lot of statistics and a lot of this and a lot of this paperwork to say that your great idea is a great idea? That doesn't work. You don't have to do all this. Does it work in some cases to put in tons and tons and shoveling tons and tons of money? No, we just saw that doesn't work either. So you learn what doesn't work by taking those risks. And not only just taking those risks, you learn what doesn't work by investing your time in looking at other people's projects that are similar. What worked for this person? Oh, I think that might work here, but let me look deeper. Don't just look on the surface. Let me look deeper. Nah, it ain't gonna work for my project. You know, because, you know, everybody in my project lives in the city. All these people lived out in the country. So hunting for survival and you know, a way of life not going to work in Worcester. You know, not downtown. There ain't enough to eat. So you want to experiment all the time with your project so that you can see. And you want to research, and you want to study, and you want to take chances, and you want to dream, and you want to use your creative juices, and you don't want to ever say you can't do it. And these are things that work. So what doesn't work is doing nothing. All right. Now you want to create the conditions to attract resources and attention. Now this is a hard one with failure. For me anyways, I find this to be a hard one. And I think a lot of people find this to be a hard one too. And this is where I think a lot of projects, they start out fine and then they drop off and they just go away. Because you got to attract the resources. In most cases, resources are going to be money. You know, you got to need, and you got to attract attention. You know, and in most cases that's going to be, again, because of money. How you going to get the exposure? And what I called Subway, which could have been Starbucks, I don't know which one it was putting more and more visual things out there for them to see. It became commonplace. A gamble, a risk, yeah. Could it fail? Totally. But he had to attract resources to do that. You know, I don't know where the person got his resources from, but he had to attract resources. Could have been the world's biggest spoiled brat and just kept calling mama, mama, it didn't work, mama. Oh, don't worry, honey. We'll give you his money. Do it again. You know, I don't know. Haven't got a clue. But you got to draw attention to these type of things like that too. Archangel is becoming quite a success. It's going to be a name that's in every home. Archangel of return to chivalry. People are going to say that before they go to bed. You know, now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take. And Archangel of a Church of Chivalry on Wednesday from 3 to 4 on Block Talk Radio. I mean, it's going to become a household prayer. Yeah, that's just how these things work. You know, that's the attention that it needs. But the resources, that's going to be the hard part about it, to build the Archangel Academy and to keep putting these things out so that people can enjoy Archangel of Church Chivalry. So, people tend to move on to new things rather than fix the existing problem. This is what happens with attracting resources and conditions and stuff like that. Oh, that's not working. Rather than trying to find out why it's not working, oh, let's do this. Okay, yeah. And people do it all the time. They do it subconsciously too. And they pat themselves on the back when they do it too. Oh, that was such a great idea we had, but it's not going to work, but this will work. Yeah, that's right. We'll do number two. Number 2 is better anyways. And they just go ahead and move on. And by the time they get down to these 7-figure numbers and never made an attempt, and you know, at least they had fun doing it. So that's a good thing too. So, sometimes things have to fall completely apart before the muster the will to fix them. Yeah, that's kind of like what they, you know, sometimes I guess that has, in this day and age, the first thing to run into your mind is alcoholism and drug abuse. That person has to hit rock bottom. Mm-hmm. He has to live in the weeds and stuff before he makes a change. Well, in that case, it really works in some cases. It doesn't work in others. But if you're working towards something that you really feel is important, say the end of racism, sometimes things fall completely apart. Sometimes you feel as though, man, I'm never going to be able to end racism because it's so ingrained in people. People love it so much that that's all they think and talk about, and they don't want to give it up. You know, so you feel like the thing is falling completely apart. And then you find a way to fix it. Say, I can fix this, the way people think about racism and stuff. I can bring attention to them in a whole new fashion that they're going to enjoy just to be not racist. They can listen to Archangel. Or they can listen to Troop It in the Air. Mm-hmm. You know? I mean, they got options. So always make room for change. The world changed and you should change with it. That's important. Especially in today's world. Things are moving so fast and the change is coming so quickly that if you're not willing to change with it, then you get left behind. And once you start being left behind, one step makes it slower and slower. I've seen this a lot, you know, in forced marches and stuff. And everybody thinks that the idea in forced marches is you gotta go for that's what you have to do. Because the real meaning of the forced march is just like this here. It's with that change. You have to stay with the change. If you're in the forced march and you start to fall backward, after you fall back, it's like, oh, 2 things happen now. One, you got to catch up. So you got to expend more energy. And 2, the mindset starts to come in. Oh man, that went so fast. I wasn't ready for that change, and now this pack is heavy, and now you start to fill up all these negative things to add to the weight of that. So, like with the forced march, you just get a cadence and you just keep going. You know, that's with that. But you always make room for the change, because the change is going to come, and the change is mostly going to come on an individual, personal level. It's not going to come in this world. The change comes, whoosh, it's just washing over everybody. But everybody has the time and the energy to stay abreast of that change. You know? The tide comes in and the tide goes out. Why I said that, I have no idea, but it's just not like a good place to put it. So let's move on. And we'll stay abreast of the changes. And we'll develop intuition and skills. What people think of as intuition is, at its heart, this is at its best, highly developed patterns of recognition. That's what people think of as intuition. That's why it fails. It's yours. You know? It's personal. People and intuition, oh, I got this great inspired thing to do and everything. You got it, it's yours. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean that the rest of the people feel it. They don't understand it. So that's why sometimes, or most times, it fails, because the intuition is a highly developed pattern recognition. You're really just recognizing something that you've always wanted to do or always felt. And now when you finally made your move about it, and you call it an epiphany or an intuition or whatever you want to call it about this, to move on it, you're lost because you can't understand why everybody's not as enthused as you are. Because I got all the skills to do this. I got the skills. I can make this thing happen about ending racism. I can do this because I know this is right and I know this is true. Because you've been talking this to yourself forever. Of course it's right and true to you. No, it can't be anything else but right and true to you. But is it right and true in the skills that you're going to use something that can be used by somebody else? I don't know. Might be. Never know. Could be. So, putting these are all intellectual failures, folks, that we've been talking about. This is failed. All these things, the failures that come because we think we're smart. Yeah, and the closer we get to Cambridge, the smarter we become. Mm-hmm. At least we think we're smarter and smarter as we get closer and closer to Cambridge. So, but putting intellectual failure works. Not all failures are useful. Now that's the intellectual failure. I don't agree with that. I think all failures are useful. The intellectual failure would say not all failures are useful. No, not all failures are useful. There are dumb failures out there. You can do many, many dumb things out there that you think is great because you really wanted to do them, and they're dumb, and you fail, and that's not useful. But it's yours. It's personal, and as it being yours, then you can learn from that. Don't do that. Think it through. The failure that you had, if you had taken the time to think through the whole process of it, you may not have went down that road. It's just what we have here in Worcester. I think it was Worcester a few weeks ago, a week ago. Some lady got hit by a car because she was texting or something like that.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was here. And she's texting. She walked right out in the street, got hit by a car. Now that's a failure. That's a failure on her part that she can learn from. Don't text and cross the street. It's not that important of a thing to have what do they call that? Social media conversation while you're outside among other people. It's really not all that good to do. And the failure is useful. Because if you realize that what the failures that can happen from that can hurt you, that's useful. So not all failures are useful. I don't agree with it. So if you can accept that failures will sometime occur in uncertain environments, it only makes sense to plan for, manage, and look from, and in many cases, to consider them as experiments and not failures. So this comes from after that thing. So if you're looking at the things that are happening to you as an experiment, yeah, I'm experimenting and opening up an ice cream shop in Alaska. You know, this is an experiment. Will it fail? I don't know. People like ice cream in Alaska. I don't see why not. It's flavorful, it's delicious. You can go inside, have it in the ice cream shop. It's warm. You can put jimmies on top and stuff. You can put it in a little sugary cone. You can put it in a cup. Yeah, so opening up an ice cream shop in Alaska is an experiment, yeah. But will it fail? After you look at it, you can say, well, there's some, now let's look at what might make it fail. It is Alaska, it's cold. People's minds say, oh, I don't want an ice cream, I'll go get I want a hot chocolate, or I want a cup of soup or something. I just don't feel like an ice cream because I'm freezing to death and everything. So there's a border there, there's a little hurdle you got to jump over, and so you can look at the different hurdles. Oh, I can't get there. There's too much snow on the ground. I can't get through. The dogs don't want to run. So there's all kinds of different little ways you can look at the failures and stuff. But there's positive there too. Like I said, it's sweet. It tastes good. People like it. Kids enjoy it. You can, and it's got a cone, so you can lick off the top round part and stick the rest on your nose so you can play with it. There's a lot of other things that can happen with ice cream in Alaska, and there's a lot of things that are failure. But it is an experiment. It is an experiment because you can take those same type of things that you looked at there and move it 1,000 miles down into Canada, and a lot of the failures won't be there, but the things that look good still will be there. So maybe you want to move south a little bit with that ice cream, and it might just be a good thing to have. So those are some of the things we talked about. Hey, next week I'm gonna look at some of the principles of it. All right, some of the 7 principles. We're going to decide what success and failure would look like before you launch an initiative. We're going to convert assumptions into knowledge. We're going to be quick about failing. You got to fail fast before you fail. We got to contain the down risk. We got to fail cheaply. You don't want to fail and spend all your money. You want to limit uncertainties. You want to build a culture to celebrate intellectual failure. And you want to codify and share what you've learned. That's what we're going to be doing next week, folks. We're going to be continuing on with failure. And you might ask me, why are we continuing on with failure? Because I like it. I think it's a fascinating subject. I really didn't know just how fascinating it was. And I want to thank everybody for staying around, and those who texted, I want to thank them for texting, and I want to thank everybody for just having that fun, because that's the biggest part about life. Because if you're having fun, I'd have to take back my thing, you won't fail. There is no failure with having fun. It just can't happen. That's the only thing that can't happen. And I'm Trooper Joe, and I want to say to everybody, have that fun, and see you next week.